Poem number 4. So many loose ends, I feel like a kitten caught in a yarn shop, with all the shelves toppling and balls of yarn entangling my limbs inextricably. About race. I have various stances on that. First, you're talking to a homeboy who grew up in institutions most of his life. In my village, there were no black folks. In the orphanage, I met Alan Flood, a cool dude who tightened up as a buddy with us later. However, after the orphanage, I happened on him in the same hood, and he was a stone-cold junkie. Didn't matter, though. We loved him. With little bologna and rainbow bread we shared with him. Spam and welfare cheese blocks, and then he went to prison and vanished from the landscape. I went to Lincoln. The majority of the students were black, and us Chicanos and them blacks fought all the time. We were like pit bulls straining at the chains to get at each other, and for no other reason than we were bored and enjoyed the clashes. Blood rituals for poor boys growing up. Try to kill each other off like the colonists inculcated us. Save them custard eaters. It's what Indios call the white folks. Custard eaters. The effort of getting off their porch rockers. Because we did it ourselves to each other. Our ghetto barrio tea time hour was killing. Undertakers, car parts stores, drive-up liquor windows, dealers, and drive-bys dominate the barrio. Cemeteries and funeral homes languish in luxurious shade trees and gleam in limos, and we all one day dream of homesteading on a grave or vacuuming guts out of corpses for the thrill of riding a limo. Somewhere in the chaos, roaming the streets, Quincy became my friend, and he took me home. His father, Otis, let me live in the house, and I fell in love with Quincy's sisters, curved and sensuous black moons, bathing in a big wash tub in the living room. I left the room when they did, you know. Nighttime I became the best damn chicken rustler this side of the Rio Grande. Jail and prison fostered horrible racism. I never indulged. In fact, on numerous occasions had broken up fights between blacks and whites who were my friends, and I ended up doing 30 in the hole, if you can dig that. Whites wouldn't hang with blacks, and blacks kept away from whites. Taboo voodoo. I had some gorgeous black women as girlfriends, and I regret I had to move on. In North Carolina, I got jumped by a bunch of axe-wielding crackers because I was with my babe, and other times KKK threw some asswipe rag of a newsletter in my yard, predicting my demise. I could, however, shoot for the whites of the eyes as good as any bow-legged Kentucky hick, and I wasn't too bothered by the milk jug, white liquor, tote, and intimidation they were throwing me. I pained more at the Appalachian twang of a rusty violin string than the white-knuckled trigger click, if you understand what I mean. And I grew up in the midst of socially sanctioned racism, you understand? Brute, bloody, blade-dripping, barrel-smoking racism. In the 1920s, wannabe Yahoo cowboys roped and strung up my Mexican people from Wyoming to Chihuahua. My grandma used to tell me all these trees had Mexicans hanging from them at dawn. Never written about, though. The dawn was pretzel with snapped necks and lifeless limbs, but never written about. While scholars and academics from prestigious universities write endless volumes about the slavery days, I wonder why they overlook the slavery prevalent today with my Mexican Chicano people. Millions of us survive in cardboard shacks and squalid camps without drinking water or even the most basic human facilities. No school, no medicine, we're paid $1 an hour, we're chased off the field before we get paid, we die from pesticide poisoning, we drink ourselves to death, we screech and gasp and die from sunstrokes. Little babies are born with 2 fingers, no spine, 2 heads, and the growers and the agricultural monsters spend millions on political games to scam as much as they can from us. And I wonder why, on the 1-hour black TV shows where the pundits levy their grave opinions on the state of the nation, when they spew blustery brain breakers, when Washington panels are chaired by only blacks, what the fuck happened to us? Why should the blacks speak only for themselves and be considered the only minority living in America? Shit, before any blacks stepped foot on the beach, we were here for thousands of years. What the fuck's that trip about? So what's with the black-white shit going down? What's with the black-white issue? Why were we warehoused with a barest nod to civil rights? Why weren't we given water for the infants? Why didn't any news reporter look around? Why do personality wizards on TV accept the second-hand opinion of blacks speaking for us when those blacks have never stepped into a Chicano's house and broken tortilla? You tell me why? Why? If I, as native to this land, as the minerals in the soil, why do I still not exist to you? Why am I invisible? Why am I looked upon as a threat? Why do people see me as a lazy spick when I die working for you? When my ancestors were slaughtered and genocide was the tune of the times, why can't I speak my language without duress from others? Why must my culture be reduced to sombreros and castanets? Why must I be stopped and checked for a citizenship card? Man, I should be asking others for that. Why must I despair every night and fall prey to doomsday depression and be sucked up by drugs and whiskey and die in the gutter, mumbling in my own language of prayer to Tonantzin, the earth goddess, to please take me from here? That's why there's angels, because they help me carry the load of such oppressive doings. That's why there are prayers, because I pray a lot. Seems every time a good man comes by, you hold out a biscuit bill, and that good man prances like some crystal-headed poodle on two hind legs dancing on the Jay Leno show to the applause of people who don't give a smelly billy goat's ass where this country's going. As long as they can turn the wheel of fortune, man, heaven has been attained. I deplore racism. I don't even know what that word means, really. I know what pain is, what death is, what a beating at the hands of goon squads with lead-filled batons breaking bones is. But the word racism is almost a joke to me these days. People wearing Gucci shoes speak about walking barefoot over glass shards in India and hot coals in Santa Fe. And the closest they've come to experiencing bowels singed in battery-cabled testicles and split faces and broken arms is glancing at the calendar dates that commemorate us people who suffer it on a daily basis, who commemorate Martin Luther King's march to Selma. That's like the billionaire who gives a fruit basket once a year at Christmas to fulfill her obligation to the starving children in the world. I don't know what racism is. I know what it feels like, though, how it burns, how it bleeds, how it cries, how it lies sleepless night after night, how it cannot pay bills, how it cannot go to good schools, how it sleeps under the project stairwells, how it sells drugs to alleviate the hopelessness, how it manipulates brother against brother and sister against sister and children against parents, how it burns justice with the yard weeds, how it scoffs at poverty, how it fucks the Statue of Liberty who lifts her dress for every racist entering the country and gives it up, ass and all. You know what I mean? I know that racism. But not the racism these suckers chit-chat over on TV on Sunday morning. Not the racism that assimilated, lobotomized puppets mimic in the newspaper columns. The racism that steals life and breath from children, that bludgeons the man stooping in row fields, that rapes the mother's dream and breeds nightmare maggots in the virgin's womb. Racism ferments in the fat man who lives on mommy's money, and the fat man who desires to destroy all who disagree with him, and the fat man who backslaps and guffaws at a table with black folks and then later brags to others how he so thoroughly and sincerely understands the plight of the disadvantaged, and the fat man whose money is the ticket for his entry into people's graces. Racism ferments in the fat man's gully gut like tadpoles in a stale pool of drainage water and infects our digestive tracts. Where racism thrives, you'll find no men, none who have lived life, who have earned their money, who sleep well. Racism is nourished on fear, wrapped in unassuming, good-natured birthday bow-tie philanthropy, creased with jolly, good-fellow smiles. It cools our rage at our cancerous failures like a bleak nuclear wind. It appears at the courthouse, the jail, the counselor's office, and the teacher's room cloaked in Samaritan goodwill, exhaling its toxic evil into our nostrils. And we succumb to it. Turn on our own. Accept an appeal to the races and get this nice, juicy, kissable paycheck that not only pays bills, but doubles as a weapon against those who are not racist. Conversion is business as usual. Get one spoiled apple in a barrel, and in time, others get the rot. Blemish, bruise, The pulp of character oozes venomous sap that wasp find savory. I have a lot of fine white people I love. I know brown and blacks and Indios that preach virulent racism. Racism, you see, is about privilege, undeserved and unearned authority, tyrannical power, wealth amassed corruptly, snivel and lace handkerchief judges partially smacking their lips and patiently clocking the minutes when they can leave for the country club and join the cocktail hour people.